hangs up a thing around here. Yes?
I'd like to see Mrs. Stoddard, if you'd be so kind.
Mrs. Stoddard?
This is Collinwood, isn't it?
Yes.
And the mistress here is Mrs. Elizabeth Collin Stoddard, is she not?
Yes.
Then perhaps you'd do me the courtesy to inform Mrs. Stoddard that her cousin is calling and wishes to pay his respects.
Her cousin?
Yes, her cousin from England.
From England? Oh, please, come in.
I'd be delighted, thank you.
Oh, would you like to wait in the drawing room?
Here would be fine, thank you.
Oh, well, I'll let Mrs. Stoddard know you're here.
Oh, madam, if you would, you may tell her that it's Barnabas Collins.
My name is Victoria Winters. Night is drawing nearer and nearer to Collinwood, and the man who disappeared into another night has not been found. But out of the falling dusk, another man has come. A stranger who is not a stranger. A man with a face long familiar to those who live at Collinwood. A man who has come a great distance, but who still bears deep within him a soul shaped by the far country from which he came.
I don't believe it.
I beg your pardon.
It is Barnabas.
And you're Elizabeth, cousin Elizabeth.
Cousin Elizabeth. Yes, I guess I am.
I apologize for coming without letting you know in advance.
It's uncanny.
What is?
But that portrait over there, have you seen it?
Yes. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, if it weren't for the clothes, well, forgive me for staring, but for the moment it seems as though I'd seen a
ghost?
Well, the likeness is remarkable. I can hardly believe it.
The Collins blood always had a certain persistent strength.
This is no way to greet a relative. Welcome to Collin.
Thank you, cousin.
Forgive my curiosity, but I understood that Barnabas Collins, the son of Naomi and Joshua Collins, died a few years after he went to England.
Well, that's true, but apparently the family history didn't tell of his marriage and the fact that he had a son who proved to be my great-great-grandfather.
It's strange that no one ever heard of it.
Well, if one considers communications in those days, well, a family separated by great distances sometimes lost track of some of its members.
I suppose you're right. Shall we go into the drawing room?
Thank you.
So there's a whole branch of the Collins family flourishing in England, and I never knew it.
Flourishing may be hardly the word for it. Alas, I am the sole remaining member.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Have you no family of your own?
As yet, no.
But there's still hope.
Oh, there's always hope.
Anyone definite?
Not as yet.
Did you come to America to find a bride?
Well, that wasn't my sole purpose, but I don't rule it out as a possibility.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Shall we sit down?
Thank you.
What were your reasons for coming to America? Was it a business trip or just a visit? Forgive my asking all these questions.
Well, at the moment, I consider it a visit. But there's some likelihood that I may settle here permanently, in Collinsport.
I can hardly believe it. Another Collins, I can't tell you how pleased I am. Now, you're descended from Barnabas Collins, but the rest of the family, the whole history, I want to hear it. Please give me the details.
Oh, there's really very little to tell.
Oh, I doubt that.
Well, perhaps there's too much for this initial visit. After all, I only wanted to present myself and pay my respects.
Oh, but surely you'll stay for dinner.
Oh, I wouldn't want to impose on your time any further. I did come unannounced.
Oh, that doesn't matter. But please stay a little while longer. You have other cousins to meet. My brother Roger and his little boy David and my daughter Carolyn.
I look forward to it eagerly. But perhaps another time. I may come again, may I not?
Oh, certainly. And please don't feel that you have to be so formal.
You're very kind.
I realize I should ask you to stay here at Collinwood, but at the moment, the household is a little upset. We have temporary guests.
Oh, please, even to think of it is sufficient courtesy. But I think you'll realize when I say that I'd prefer more independent quarters.
I understand perfectly. But you must come again, and often.
I shall. I've always loved Collinwood. It's just as I remembered it.
Remember it? But you've never been here before.
But I feel as though I have. Descriptions, stories, they've all been handed down from generation to generation. And being here now is like returning to a memory from childhood. Oh, don't be surprised if I know Collinwood quite well. Even the old house near Widow's Hill, where our poor, unfortunate ancestors, Jeremiah and Josette Collins, lived for a time. And I understand that Joshua Collins, my direct ancestor, lived there with his family, even after this house was built.
Well, you certainly were well schooled in the family history.
I wouldn't be a Collins if I weren't. And I wouldn't be a Collins if I didn't recognize in my blood, in my soul, that my roots are here. And perhaps my destiny. Oh, forgive me. I tend at times to romanticize. Promise you'll pay no attention.
I understand.
Well, now I must go.
Oh, you must be tired after your trip.
Yes, it was a long and difficult journey.
You must be exhausted.
Like coming from one world to another.
Is life in England so different from it is here?
Oh, no, of course not. And yet, so much is so different. But Collinwood hasn't changed. I mean, from what I've always heard. And I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. How very grateful.